Hello world of YouTube and welcome to my second list for this portion of Decade in Wrap-Up List Week 2010s edition, where I'm going to be breaking down my top 11 favorite film scenes that happened over the last 10 years. Not my favorite films, that's next month. These are just my favorite slices of films. Now, spoilers abound. I'm going to be spoiling a handful of these movies because some of these come at crucial points in the plot, and that's part of the reason why I really like them, because they're executed masterfully. But these aren't necessarily my favorite films of the decade. These are just 11 scenes that I think were my favorites to watch for one reason or another, and I'm going to break down why. Let's go ahead and get started.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
So I could have easily put the Avengers Assemble from Endgame here because it achieves a similar feeling, but I personally don't think that there will be a moment in the comic book MCU realm that really hit me here quite like the first assembly of Avengers throughout the New York fight scene and the ensuing fight scene in New York of Avengers, the first one. Because the whole first phase of the MCU built to it so well, you know, just introducing everybody, getting you accustomed to their characteristics and stuff, and I liked that the film itself builds to this by having different team-ups of people at different points of the film before letting them all, you know, collide at this particular moment. It's a great moment. It's a great moment in a movie that just hit me right here. It still does. I'll rewatch it and still get the same magic I had the first time I saw it during a marathon of Phase 1 at a local theater in Virginia, where we watched all of them, and it was just that takes me back to that moment. And it's nice. It's a nice gooey ooze of contemporary nostalgia, I guess. It's a great moment, personally.
Oh my God! Please help me! Jay, what is it? Help! Help me! Jay, what do you see?
It follows as a couple of scenes of really nice tension and fear, but the barn scene I feel like does it really well because it's the one moment, or at least for the main character, where the monster's characteristic of they can be anybody really comes into play, because it starts with a character that you know is in the background walking towards the main characters, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, she's coming to join the scene, until it pans to the guy, and the girl that's walking is also in the water, and you're like, oh shit, no, things are about to go down, and it does. And I love that the perspective shifts from us being in the view of the girl that can see the monster to how her friends view it by her hair just magically lifting up before, you know, the monster shows its strengths, it chases them, I realize bullets don't work because they shoot them. You know, there's some tension with the gun because the kid's shooting the gun, and it's a good moment. You know, it's really scary. It's tense. It's also because it's in the daylight where you're supposed to feel safe from the monsters in the dark. And plus, the score is great. You know, I love Disaster Piece. You guys know that. And his scoring here is really good. I like how the scene builds and builds to this confusion between the main character and her friends. They know it's there, but they can't really help. And then she gets away, and it builds to a crash and the climax. It's a good scene, really good scene. A point where I feel like the idea of this film was fully realized. You know, the climax is really fun with them in the pool, and the opening is really cool because it's like a one-shot, and it follows the opening kill girl. But that scene in particular, the barn scene, I feel like is where the movie reaches its precipice in concept and execution.
Nick and Amy will be gone, but then we never really existed. Nick loved a girl I was pretending to be. Cool girl. Men always use that, don't they, as their defining compliment. She's a cool girl. When I met Nick Dunn, I knew he wanted cool girl. And for him, I'll admit, I was willing to try. Then he dragged me, penniless, to the navel of this great country.
So the twist in Gone Girl, that Rosamund Pike's character actually has been alive the whole time, is incredible. I love the reveal that her diary entries were a lie. She planted it. She was framing her husband because he cheated on her. And yeah, it's a little crazy. You know, it shows that this character is fucking nuts. But her whole monologue, Rosamund Pike's monologue throughout this entire scene, reveals that she's been alive the whole time, is great. You know, and it shows the reveal of the framing of him, and how she executed it. So good. And her reasoning why. Like, I just love the way that monologue is written. I love her delivery. And I love that it took an entire half of a film to build to that point, so that the rest of the film could just be insanity. Just her character doing crazy shit. Ben Affleck's character getting onto her. And the whole world just falling down around them. It's the catalyst for the overdramatic nonsense that happens throughout the back half of the film. And I love it. I really do. I like Gone Girl a lot. It's not my favorite David Fincher movie that came out over the last decade, but it's a great film. And this scene is a big reason why, because it could have easily just ended with her being dead and Ben Affleck being guilty. But there's a lot more this film wants to do, and I love that that's the catalyst for that. Respect the work that went into this film. Cinefix did a video on breaking down how this scene in particular was made, and for it being such a small portion of the movie, it is one of the more memorable moments because it's a practical scene. They really made a big ass room that just rotates, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt mastered how to traverse it. The choreography is really well done, and I like how it's framed in the scene in the movie itself, like how it keeps going back to them in the layers of the dream. Again, it's like the scene in It Follows. It's a point where the concept of the movie of Inception reaches its precipice. You know, everything has a lot of fun moments up to that point. You know, there's a lot of fun playing with the dreams and stuff, and the action is really nice. But this is where it just goes all out. You know, like the mind-bending stuff happened earlier in the movie, and a lot of the crazy action happened, but it's a nice slice of that has layers on it because it's exploring other aspects of the layers of the dreams, and I think it's a cool-ass scene.
I think my throat's getting bigger.
Charlie!
I could have put the end of Hereditary on here because it's one of the more tense moments I had in the theaters, but Charlie's death is bar none the bigger shock in that film because it just leaves you gobsmacked because of, again, the promotional material. You know, everyone knows the promotional material around here made this girl seem like she was a crucial part of the plot, and she is, but it's more her death that factors into that, and it's insane to me how, like, the scene is framed because, like, you think the whole time you're watching her eat these nuts and get this allergic reaction, like, oh, they're gonna be fine because she's still got shit to do. But no, she dead. She gone. And it leaves with this cold feeling of unnerved, you know, anxiety because they don't know where the film's gonna go now because the viewer had it built up in his head that the film was gonna be like this, and it wasn't. And the scene plays that death really well by having just this stoic silence while Alex Wolff's character sits in his car and just is contemplative. And as he drives home, he walks in his house and he goes to bed before you hear the pained wails of Toni Collette as she finds her daughter's body. It is a gruesome scene, and the drastic cut to Charlie's rotting head just solidifies that death even more. It's an incredible scene that, while the end made me feel the most tense I have in the theaters, this made me the most shocked. One of the most shocked moments I had in the cinema. It was a great twist that I know nobody saw coming and just left me floored.
He brought this on himself. And it's landing on us. Let's get out of here, Frank. Come on.
The film kind of leads you into knowing you're gonna see Jimmy Hoffa die, but you just feel so bad for when it actually happens, because the whole time you've been sympathetic towards the Irishman, you know, Robert De Niro's character and Jimmy Hoffa. The relationship is really nice. You know, Jimmy seems like the gateway out of the lifestyle that the Irishman is living, and instead of being pulled out of that, he instead is thrust further into it by having to kill his friend, his companion amongst his campaign, amongst Jimmy Hoffa's campaign, and it sucks to see. You know, the minute Joe Pesci's character keeps Robert De Niro away, you're like, okay, it's gonna be off screen. They're gonna leave Jimmy Hoffa's death off screen. They're gonna leave it ambiguous until Pesci sends De Niro to Jimmy Hoffa, and you just have this overlooming sense of dread in your gut, because you're like, man, this really is going to happen, is it? The film's going to have it be this now instead. And it's a slow build. You know, De Niro goes to the guy's house. You see Hoffa pull up at the country club where they pick him up. You know, you have the conversations with Robert De Niro's paranoia, thinking he's going to get whacked. You know, there's a lot to the scene that builds to Frank killing Jimmy in a cold way, but you know, it's an execution that he doesn't want to do, and you feel his sorrow for doing it. You know, and it's a sad moment, but it's a moment that I think is played really well by the players at hand, and I think that the build to it is long enough, because you get to feel all of Frank's dread for having to do this, and it sucks. But it's a great scene.
Does this scare you? Huh? Fuck you know about being scared. You said make it pretty, right? Paul Bunyan-ass cops come to chop me at the knees and search the trunk in my own town. Did you count his rings when you bled him? Huh? When you dead him? Do you understand? How old was he? Nigga, how old was he? Been in my element, eloquent, spitting hella developing. I've been telling the shell I'm in not to walk like a felon and fucking flipping the middle finger to feeling irrelevant, reveling in my freedom till you turn heaven to hell and hello, sir!
Daveed Diggs is firing on all cylinders in all of Blind Spotting, and for the comedy, for all the comedy the film has, it has a lot of great serious moments as well, and the climax of the film with him confronting the police officer that put him in the mind state he's been in throughout the entire film is great. You know, because he lets it all out. He lets all of his frustrations with a lot of what's going on in his area out in a very artistic way. He shows the police officer that he could have easily just been another number, been another statistic, but he's better than that. And there's a lot of people better than that, and they don't give them the chance to show that. And I love that this film deconstructs a lot of the mantras that the film is kind of throwing around, and it talks about a lot of the frustrations that in the narrative and the meta text that the film is talking about really well. And it's just a cool ass rap by Daveed, very artistically done in a nice way. There's a lot of rapping in Blind Spotting, but this is obviously the best moment of it, where he's really getting to, it's like getting to meet someone who's done you wrong and getting to be the bigger man while confronting them at the same time. It's a great fucking moment, and it's a powerful moment, and I feel like it's a film that a lot of people slept on. If you haven't seen Blind Spotting, go see it, but it's a film it's a moment that the film, again, builds to incredibly well, because you have them doing another job, just another moving job, and you find out who it is, and you know Miles is going to get to that point where he sees the guy, and it's a cold, tense moment that has this great resolution that makes you feel good.
This is Jessie, the roughest, toughest cowgirl in the whole West. She loves critters, but none more than her best pal, Bullseye. These little dudes are from a strange alien world, Pizza Planet. Is Buzz Lightyear, the coolest toy ever. Now Woody, he's been my pal for as long as I can remember. He's brave, like a cowboy should be, and kind and smart. But the thing that makes Woody special is he'll never give up on you.
It's a transition into adulthood, you know, that I wasn't necessarily expecting Toy Story 3 to hit me with. You know, the film already had heavy scenes with the toys themselves almost dying. And, man, this hit me harder. This smacked me right in the chest. And I think it's because of when the film came out. This film came out in 2010. I graduated high school in 2010. And I love the Toy Story movies, you know. I grew up with those films. So to see Andy grow up with me and really pass down his childhood toys to somebody else, it hit me really hard. It was Andy's moment of growing up. And, you know, it's a hell of a scene. You know, it's sad. It's so very sad. You know, not to say that I've completely grown up, obviously. I still got slices of my childhood, but I mean, I get it. I get the thing the film was going for, and I think it hit me in the intended way. It's a good emotional gut punch. You know, Pixar's good for that in a lot of ways. It's pretty hard hitting.
Fucking high.
This is the moment I think anybody who watched Whiplash was waiting for, after a film where J.K. Simmons' character just beats down Andrew Neiman. You know, Miles Teller does a great job at just going through this bullshit from a guy who is just the harshest teacher you could ever ask for. And to see him actually, after getting smacked down another time, to just say fuck it and take control of the scenario and show him I'm not the same guy I used to be. It's a great scene, and it's backed by an incredible song. You know, the version of Caravan that's in that performance of Caravan is incredible, and the cinematography in the scene is great. The framing, the drum porn that's all over the scene is fantastic. But the moment it signifies in both the characters' relationship and the shift it creates, this power shift, is one that is so satisfying to watch after seeing J.K. Simmons be just a tremendous asshole the entire film. You know, after throwing chairs and cymbals and smacking people and just putting this guy in the mud, to see him get his comeuppance, even in the form of just getting a smack in the face with a cymbal, is so satisfying. One of the most satisfying endings to a film I think I've seen all decade. You know, it's the best last scene. It's the climax. The moment where, you know, everybody, his father included, gets to see what he's been aiming to do, and to see him successfully do it is incredible. It's the scene I think Edgar Wright's been wanting to make for a very long time, and in Baby Driver, it kicks off the film in such a stylish fashion, and it shows you the film is going to be incredibly well shot, well choreographed, and a lot of fun. I love the driving in this scene. You know, in a decade where we had a lot of drive-in movies, Movies where driving was a big focal point. Baby Driver just did it the best. It's sleek, it's fun, the music is great, it's energetic, all of the pieces fit together so very nicely. And the moment where they all leave and the song is, you know, in time with the car doors beeping, such a good moment. It's one of the more satisfying, like those oddly satisfying compilations. This is a whole scene like that because everything is just set to the music in the best way possible. You know, Baby Driver's a fun film in general, and the whole film is filled with scenes like this, but the scene with bell bottoms is just the most fun. And it's a great teaser for what the movie's going to present. You know, if you haven't seen Baby Driver, watch the scene. It's on YouTube, like all of these scenes are. But it's on there. Give it a watch, because a lot of people slept on Baby Driver. If you liked it, you'll like the movie, for the most part.
When do I know I'm Spider-Man?
You won't. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
Like, what's up, danger? Like, what's up, danger? Can't stop me now. Travel 200 miles, I'm knocking at your door. And I don't really care if you ain't your boy. What's up, danger?
You know, Spider-Verse was a love letter to Spider-Man in almost every facet. And all of the nods and fun little winks to the fans were really nice to see. I liked a lot of that in Spider-Verse, but the Leap of Faith is a gorgeous scene from a visual standpoint. And from its place in the story, it's just the fucking best. You know, it also is an embodiment of what it means to be Spider-Man. And to wear that mantra, to wear that moniker. You know, so while the whole film is a love letter to Spider-Man, that moment is where the film shows you, like, yes, we love Spider-Man, but we also get what it means to be Spider-Man. And to see Miles fully adorn and take a hold of that mantra, to take that leap of faith, is such an inspiring moment in film. But also, from the animation, the gorgeous animation, to the build-up in the score. Again, it's the apex of that film. In a film about my favorite superhero, to have it culminate to that moment it's so very good. It embodies what I love about Spider-Man from a philosophical perspective. I love that scene, and I love that it kind of showcases that. It kind of alludes to every Spider-Man has had this moment. Miles' moment is done in great fashion. It is stylish, it is meaningful, and it is well fucking done. That was my list. What did you think about it? Did your favorite movie scene end up on this list? If not, let me know in those comments down below. Next month, I'll be breaking down my favorite films, so hopefully you're excited for that. But in the meantime, I'm going to get out of here. If you like this list, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general nerdy content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons if you would like to join their ranks, get early access to stuff, get exclusive content, and get, help drive the community. It's linked in the description. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have a good day slash situations, and I'll see you another day.